Welcome back, everybody. This is Brother Meat here. Today we are doing our War Priest build for the Strongest There Is series. So what we have here is Ass Kicker. She has been buffed. Of course, we have gear on her as well, but I wanted to give you a full walkthrough about how we would level her up. First, let's talk about her skills. Notice we've invested in athletics a little bit. She's pretty strong, so it's not really necessary to go crazy on this. We have a lot of different spells that's going to buff our strength-based skills. I'll put that in air quotes for you. Basically another way of saying athletics. I don't know why they don't just say athletics, but they don't. So again, this will be better than you think if you use the right spells. Now, of course, mobility for this particular build, since she is going to be a Sacred Fist, this is a subclass of War Priest. We wanted to do the dragon fighting style, which is pretty badass for extra damage based on your strength. In my opinion, watch the previous video. That will kind of explain what my thinking behind that is. Notice that we've invested 8 ranks in mobility. That was necessary to unlock all 3 of them. So you get Dragon Style, Dragon Ferocity, and Dragon Roar. Dragon Roar is kind of a judgment call. You don't necessarily need it, but I figured, what the hell, what else am I going to spend that free style-based feat on? And I'll explain that when we get to it. But that's the rationale here for why mobility was so necessary to get so high. 17 isn't anything to write home about. There's ways, of course, to make it better. But by and large, I was okay with stopping at 8. Persuasion and Perception, the next top 2 here. You see Persuasion, we've invested 10 ranks in it. And well, that doesn't look all that impressive. It's really because her Charisma was the stat that we just chose to tank. We could have made an Undead build. The problem with that is many of the spells that we'd like to buff with only work if you are actually human, or at the very least living, say it that way. And as such, you wouldn't be able to swap the con and the charisma stat then, because then we wouldn't be able to buff our strength with a spell or 2, which is kind of sucky. So charisma was the stat that I chose to tank. We'll talk about abilities here in a moment. Perception, of course, is, if you watch any of my other videos, you'll know on any tune, should be if you only have one skill point, it should be the skill point you invest in it every time. This is the thing that literally is going to allow you to find hidden treasure, secret traps, secret doors, things of this nature. And again, it's extremely valuable for any and all characters. This is something that I just don't quibble about. If there's a point to be put in something, it's going to be put in the Perception. From there, though, you'll notice that we did a little bit of Lore Religion, not a lot. Again, Wisdom being our secondary stat. You see it's at a nice +8 over here with gear versus our +13 for strength. And this is not amazing by any stretch of the imagination, but you are a War Priest proper, so you should probably have some kind of skill in Lore Religion. I'd probably give this, though, to someone else on the team, like Harem, or certainly Tristan, someone that's going to have a Wisdom of like 18, 19, 20 or higher, not this crappy 16, which we started with and ended with. The buff that you're seeing here is coming from gear and other stuff. So again, 16 is what it should be, 26 is what I'm at right now. From there, though, you'll notice that Use Magic Device is being buffed because of a trait that we have. This is the reason that it is a class skill. So Dangerously Curious, when we talk about the traits, Dangerously Curious is one of the traits. It's the one that unlocks Use Magic Device, hence the green check mark, i.e. the class skill +3 you're seeing up there. The trait +1 also comes from that trait as well. So literally putting 1 point in Use Magic Device and picking up that trait, instead of giving you 1 point of increase, it's giving you, with that trait, another 4. So you actually be getting 5 for just investing 1 point. Of course, we're at 15 because we invested 8 ranks, and our charisma is not complete garbage right now, but it used to be. That 7, that's a -2 instead of a +2 that you're seeing here. So again, expect this to actually be an 11 without gear. That's not particularly impressive in any stretch of the imagination, but again, 15 is serviceable for the spells that we'd want to cast that aren't part of our repertoire. That's actually helpful. It's not amazing, but again, it's something that I really can't justify stealing from something else. If I stole from anything else, it'd probably be from Lore Religion, and that just seems wrong. Again, for a War Priest not to have Lore Religion as any kind of skill. 7 more points than that would definitely put it in a good stead, probably more than I would need. I'd probably actually invest 5 to bring it up to a solid 20, and then the other 2 would probably go into Persuasion and bring this up to a 17, because this will be a Shattered Defenses, Corn Against Smash type build. We don't have to go that route, so again, I want to explain that when we get to the actual feats. So as many of the feats that you're going to see here today are subject to change. What do I mean by that? Well, if you don't have gear that gives you a high strength, dex, con, a stat that increased as a result of you wearing that gear, a belt, a hat, things of that nature, you wouldn't have access to feats that I think are pretty damn badass, stuff that she did not get. So stuff like dodge, for instance, just a nice +1 to your armor class. It's definitely useful for a character that's not wearing anything but robes. Of course, deflect arrows, another amazing one that again requires your dexterity to be high. So again, this character had a strength started off at 19, finishing at 24, dexterity of 12, con of 12, intelligence 12, wisdom 16, charisma 7. That's how we started off this build. All 5 points went into strength, so at level 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. We finished with a nice 24. You can see 36 is not remotely as high as I can get it. This is just as high as I can get it right now with gear. If I buff up, I believe I got into the 40s, low 40s, 44, 46, somewhere around there. I can go higher, but then we lose out on the cool stuff for being the dragon ferocity kind of person that we are. Let's talk first about level 1. Because we pick human, and of course lawful good, good is the important part here. This is, by the way, dictated on the type of deity you pick. We'll talk more about that here in a moment. But we took spell vulnerability, and that allowed us to pick 3 feats instead of 2 at the first level because we're human. So spell vulnerability, taking that penalty. I took necromancy. Again, you seem to be all about being alive, and of course being a sacred fist, healing type, sacred fist for that matter, being countered by necromancy spells and things of that nature made sense. So we picked up for 3 feats with Stunning Fist, Power Attack, and Blind Fight. This may seem like an odd choice. Remember, the Sacred Fist and War Priest in general don't have a bad progression like a fighter or a barbarian for that matter. They get a midline BAB progression. So for every 4 levels, 3 of those levels get a base attack bonus increase. So the first level gets nothing, second, third, and fourth levels you get a point each. So again, 0, 1, 2, and 3. Then it stays at 3 again because it resets the clock, so to speak, and then goes 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, 9. By the end of the build, if you're a full purist, Sacred Fist like we are, you finish with a 15. This is just like a Magus build. So again, this is why this feels like a Divine Magus in my opinion, and it's quite cool in my opinion. But why then Stunning Fist, Power Attack, and Blind Fight? Well, Stunning Fist is going to be used to unlock certain things, and again, I figured why not grab it sooner than later. It's decent. It's got some fiddly bits about it that's actually pretty badass. But again, who doesn't look playing a monk-like character that just stun locks something that, like is the giant ass fucking dragon that's being a dick. It's just something that's always particularly amusing. DMs, of course, hate characters like this, so it's one of those where why not be that dick up front. Power Attack, for obvious reasons, I don't have to explain that. Of course, we're a strength-based build. We are sadly not going to get awesome power attack bonuses because -4 is where it caps out. That means we're getting like a +8 to our damage with our fists, and that's straight up lame. I can't stress that enough. We could have taken this character into quarterstaff territory. They still have the possibility to do so. They have skill with monk-based weapons, so literally giving her a quarterstaff allows her to wield it two-handed. She gets her power attack, that -4 +8 turns into -4 to the swing +12 to the damage. And same with the strength. Instead of it being 13, it's 50% stronger, I believe. That's how that works. So again, it'd be a solid hitting weapon. But again, with Dragon Ferocity and Dragon Style and all the fun stuff we're going to get from it, again, we'll see the same, if not better numbers. So I figured, fuck it. I'm happy with the way we are. Blind Fight is, again, another monk-based theme, in my opinion. You can sense your surroundings like the little ninja that you are. But the reason that the Blind Fight was necessary is because we're going to not only do Blind Fight, but improve Blind Fight. And you'll even see that I went even crazier and went even get greater Blind Fight. There's reasons for this, and I'll show you this why. But for one of the spells that we have access to as a Sacred Fist at level 1, no less, is Obscuring Mist. And this is a spell that we can slop down and stand in it, and at melee range of 5 feet or less, we have blur-like effect, which literally is a 20% concealment. If it's over 5 feet, so ranged weapon usually, doesn't have to be, but if it's a ranged weapon or a melee weapon with reach, for example, that has over 5 feet, then the bastards are swinging and missing 50% of the time. It's like displacement as a spell. Again, this works for them just like it works for you. So the problem then is how do we make that not be a problem for us? Well, it's Blind Fight, improved Blind Fight, and greater Blind Fight, in my opinion. The worst case scenario for me is going to be under those conditions, for melee anyway, it'll be a 20% miss chance. In most cases, it'll be no miss chance. It's still going to be, like I can miss from just not being able to hit, but I mean as far as the concealment is concerned. It should be 20 and 50 for other characters. It'll be 0 and 20 for me. And it's because of those 3 feats. And I thought that was pretty worthwhile, in my opinion. I noticed, of course, because we start off with... this is a modded video. I should have pointed that out ahead of time, but obviously you knew that because, again, you can't play War Priest unless you have Call of the Wild mod. We also have Eldritch Arcana updated. That mod allows us to pick up things like emotional and physique drawbacks, which in this case we took Envy. And by doing so, that gives us 3 traits to pick at level 1 instead of 2. So what traits do we get? We got Honor Fist of the Society. We got a Faith, that's a combat trait. Faith trait of Fate's Favored, and a Magic trait of Dangerously Curious, which I mentioned before. Let's walk through these. So Honor Fist of the Society allows us to get another key point. When you may say, well, Brother Mitt, you don't have any key points at level 1. No, you don't. And you won't even get one because of this. So it only shows up later in the build, but it does work, and I can demonstrate that that does work for you because it's literally your half of your Sacred Fist levels, so 10 plus your Wisdom modifier, so 18 minus 3, 15, and we're at 16. So this +1 does work, and again, it's only a point. It's not groundbreakingly cool, but it's one of those where I'm like, what else am I going to put a combat trait? I mean, I suppose I get Sneak Attack die, I get some extra armor, whatever, better reflexes. But I said, fuck it, we're already going to have key points, might as well have an extra key point. So here you go. Faith trait, on the other hand, is definitely a must, in my opinion. This is because the spells that we have that are going to buff us, many are luck bonuses. As such, that luck bonus increases by +1. So if you have like +1 to your attack bonus and +1 to your damage, it's now actually +2. +3 turns into 4, so like you can see the appeal. 6 is going to go up to a 7. So again, you can definitely see what's going on here. The downside is for stuff like this, you'll see that there's other spells that we'll have that gives us like luck bonuses to our saves, for example, and we won't get a +1. So this really only seems to be for your attack bonus and your damage bonus, as far as I can tell. So, it's what it is. I'm cool with that. So let's get into the actual build proper. So we already said what happened at level 1. The only thing else to talk about is you have to pick a deity. That's kind of on you. Can't decide. I mean, I picked an unarmed striking deity for no reason, because this is actually not necessary for us. We can pick any goddamn deity we want and still be a Sacred Fist. However, they have decent domains that I like, and in our case we don't get domains because we're not clerics. We actually get what's called blessings, but it's the same thing. It's the domains turn into blessings. My favorite on this list being knowledge and strength, which is the 2 that I picked. Rune is still another solid contender. Hell, healing is decent. Why not heal 50% better? It's fucking awesome. So again, there's a lot of really good ones in this game, depending on the deity you pick. It also not only limits this, it limits the favored weapon choice. And again, it doesn't matter for us because we're always going to be an unarmed striker. But there's more about that story here in a minute. So the favored weapons differ between the deities. Also, the deity's alignment kind of restricts your alignment. So if you're playing, for example, like as Modius as your deity, he's a lawful evil devil prick asshat. So there's a lot of leeway in there for what you can play. Lawful good, I don't think falls into his domain of things that you could possibly be, but lawful neutral might. Lawful evil definitely, and probably like anything else that's evil, like neutral evil and chaotic evil, probably fit in there somewhere. So again, you will see that if you want to play a good character like I want to do, you have to pick a deity that has at least lawful good, neutral good, or chaotic good in their portfolio, so to speak. So that's something of interest, and you need to pay attention to that. Also, the deity kind of dictates the type of caster you are, whether you're a spontaneous healer or spontaneous inflictor of damage. This just illustrates 2 points. One, when we have spells, much like a cleric, we can convert those spells into, in this case, healing, so like a cure spell of the appropriate level. Or if you played the spontaneous damaging son of a bitch, then you could convert the spells spontaneously into inflict spells. If you were playing an undead character, I would highly recommend you get one that has a choice between healing and damaging, and pick the damaging choice so that you can heal yourself, because you're undead, with your inflict spells. We are not doing that. Again, remember I said that some of the spells we have don't work on undead, and as such we'd want those spells, and that would straight up suck. There's still plenty of fun to be had though playing an undead Sacred Fist. I mean, think about an undead monk coming to kick your ass. You'd all be crapping yourselves collectively. I know I would. So again, pretty damn cool. I just wanted to go with a typical human though. So I of course went with spontaneous healing. The other part that this dictates is not just your conversion of spells. It also dictates this part here, your channel energy ability. This is similar, the same if not similar to what the clerics get, where they can literally AoE heal or AoE damage undead. And the reason that we can do that is because we channel positive energy, which is, again, spontaneous healing part. If we were the spontaneous inflicting damage prick, then we get channel negative energy, which means we get AoE damage the living, including you or your team, or we could AoE heal the undead. Again, if you're undead, that could be healing you, healing your pets. You can see the appeal. So again, that dictates that based on which of these two you picked, and that's dictated usually by the deity. When I say usually, it's because some deities have a preference, one versus the other. In our case, I think we had no choice. We could only pick healing. But there are some deities out there that will give you the choice. They don't give no fucks. It's like, whatever you want to do, man. You want to heal things? Awesome. You want to damage shit? Go ahead. So again, you get to choose, but you still have to pick one at level 1. Notice that for the Sacred Fist, we get improved unarmed strike, unlike the other War Priests where they get weapon focus, a choice, and usually that choice, is, in my opinion, is based on your deity. You just say, oh, my deity loves longswords, well then I'm going to be a longsword guy, I get weapon focus longsword. That's on you. You don't have to pick longsword just because your deity likes it. If you want daggers, go with daggers. They're not going to fucking can your ass for it. But in our case, we don't get a choice. We get improved unarmed strike. And remember, this is not weapon focus unarmed strike. This is important because we'll actually have to pick up weapon focus unarmed strike to unlock a feat or two. So again, something that's going to be important later. Notice we get our bonus to armor. We can't wear any armor, so you're wearing robes despite the picture. The armor we get is twofold. We get our wisdom modifier for 1 in combat, for dodge, basically. We get another +1 all the way up to a +5 as we level. So you'll see that my armor over here has a +5 and a +8 other category. The +5 is this part here. The +8 is coming from the wisdom. So you can see the appeal here. We're actually getting a lot of bang for our buck for this, which is really, really nice. And again, it's one of the reasons I like this more than I like monks in general. The other reason you like this guy is because their unarmed strike, much like a monk, gets steadily better. We're normal size or medium size, I think what the category is called. Based on our level of unarmed assailant, in this case a Sacred Fist, we do more damage with our fisties. So 1d6 that goes to 1d8, then 1d10, and finally cap out at 2d10 over here, which is even better than what other war priests do. Now on that, other war priests get similar effects, but again, only with their weapon of choice, whatever weapon focus they pick here. So if you wanted a longsword that does like ridiculous, like 2d, I think 8 is where they cap out at, you can do that. That's actually kind of fun. We don't get that choice. Even if I get like weapon focus in something else, like a longsword or whatever, and try to wield it, I still am stuck to it being the normal crappy 1d8 damage excuse me, of a longsword. Notice something else about the unarmed strikes that's pretty interesting here. Again, if you're a small person, it's less damage, not surprising, but if you're a large person, which we have spells that can make us larger, we suddenly get a solid increase in damage. For frame of reference, it's 2 to 20 points of damage. If you take the lowest number, which is 2, and the highest number, which is 20, add them together, that's 22. Divide by 2, that's your average damage output per punch in the face. That's 11. That's not bad. That's a pretty solid fucking smack. And again, for frame of reference, a longsword, a typical longsword, does 1d8. Minimum 1, maximum 8, that's 9. Divided by 2, that's 4.5 on average. So we're doing more than double by the end of our build compared to a longsword. Just saying, it's pretty fucking powerful. And that's just for human size. If we go for our larger sizes, with again those spells that buff our strength, which will make us even stronger, which means we hit even harder. But despite that, we get a better size category for weapon. So 4d8. So again, remember our 11 up here for average damage. Now it's 4 is the minimum. Maximum is, what is that, 16, 32. So 4 and 32 is 36. Divide by 2, what is that, 18? Yeah, I think that's right. So 18 instead of 11. So we just went up another 7 fucking points on average per punch. Again, pretty damn cool. Just want to say that's something of appeal to me. And again, definitely better than the other war priests, because again, they cap out instead of the 2d10 for their weapons, they cap out at the 2d8. And again, they can get bigger sizes, but their 2d8 then jumps up to 3d8, as you can see here, by being a bigger size category. So again, they're still solid. It's not that they suck, it's just I like mine better. Other stuff to point out, our blessings, the 2 blessings that you picked, you have to pick 2, are based on, again, your deity. In our case, we went strength and we went knowledge, so you'll notice that we get a level 1 ability. Okay, it's not a power or spell, but you can think of it that way. And you get multiple uses in a day of them, and they're all tied together. So if I use up like 16 of these, then these 16 go away. So again, you get to use your blessings as you see fit. There is some interesting feats that can be picked that we're not going to talk about too much, but just to mention that if your blessings take like a movement to activate, or a full turn, or just standard action to activate them. There is a blessing, a feat you can pick called quick blessings or something like that. It's pretty obvious, I'd say. It literally allows you to use it as a move action or to turn it into a swift action, for example. But these ones are all swift actions anyway. It's a swift action. And this is a touch attack, but you don't want that as a swift action, I don't think, anyway, because that just seems weird. Well, that could be interesting because you could actually activate that and capitalize it all in the same goddamn round. Over here, you see that, well, first let's talk about the level 1 stuff. Strength Surge, this is from the Strength category of blessings. So swift action, we get a bonus to our melee attack roll. It's their swing. Combat maneuver checks that rely on strength. So again, if you're trying to bull rush a motherfucker. Strength-based skills, athletics, or strength checks for 1 round. Now, strength checks, what does that mean? Let's be real clear on this one. So if you have like a spell that's like trapped you in like a web or an ice casing or some shit like that, and you'll see in the description of the spell, oh, you do a strength check to break out of it. The strength check refers to the fact that there's a DC check, a difficulty check, where your strength modifier, which is this number over here, is added to your 1d20 die roll. And between that and the other, you add those two numbers together, and when you roll, obviously, and if it equals or exceeds the DC check of that effect, the web, let's say, then you break out of it because you're strong enough to rip it, if you get the idea. So this is a bonus, is my point. So I can, as a swift action, say, oh, I'm stuck in a web. Strength is going to be important. Activate Strength Surge, whoop, and I get a +1 per every 2 levels of War Priest, minimum of +1. So at level 20, we're getting a +10. So now think about that. And literally I'm adding 10 to my saving throw, so to speak. It's not a saving throw, but it's a strength check. Same principle, though. Strength-based skills, athletics. Again, if I want to activate this outside of combat because there's an athletics check, just as a reminder, our athletics is solid at a 22. Wouldn't you like it to be a 32? And so if you're trying to get those skills, for example, the ones that are like skill checks that are like literally you shut off XP share, the person that makes the check gets the XP. An athletics check, she's pretty good at doing that shit. Just saying. So there's some fun to be had here for that. Also, the combat maneuver check, again, in combat, when you're trying to like literally trip somebody or bull rush a motherfucker, again, stuff that we didn't do, but you could have done. This is a solid buff. Again, up to a +10 to that check, only for 1 round, but it's a swift action, which means I can activate it and then do the bull rush, and then boom, send fucking trolls flying. Pretty goddamn cool. But the real selling point here is the +10, best case scenario, of course, to your attack roll, melee attack roll, but that's pretty much all you fucking do. So again, why wouldn't you want to go, whoop, I'm +10, better chance to hit you, motherfucker, pop, 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 and it's for every attack, not just for the first attack, it's for the full goddamn round. So again, it's a swift action, easy to activate, and I'm getting multiple attacks in a combat round. Pretty damn badass. Then, for level 1, also as the knowledge blessing, Lord Keeper is another interesting one. To explain this one, notice first how the check works. You get a knowledge check on a target that you basically touch attack. You don't do any damage, but you have to walk over and go boop on the shoulder. And if you can do so, and it's pretty easy for you to do, quite frankly, you get a knowledge skill check automatically added that's a 15 plus our War Priest level, which in this case is 20 now, so 35, plus our Wisdom modifier, which is another 8. So we have a ridiculously high knowledge skill check. And while this sounds impressive, and it certainly is, I mean, 35 plus 8 more is 43, a solid 43 by the end of the build. And then there's probably other ways to make that a little bit higher with, of course, higher wisdom. It's a solid check for someone that doesn't have a lot invested, if any, in our case, in knowledge. So why is that important? Well, first let's explain how this works for everyone else in the game. You've got a team, you run into a room, you see something you may have encountered in the past, let's say a zombie of some kind. Someone on the team, if they have knowledge, forgetting that shit, knowledge arcana, knowledge world, or lore religion, lore nature, they will do a skill check on one of those 4 to see if they know what that is, what kind of weaknesses it may have, what kind of physical or mental stats it may have. You get the idea. The better your check, and the more often you see those monsters, the more likely you are to learn everything there is about the motherfuckers, which is a pretty fucking cool way of doing this game, I must admit. I love how they did that shit. So basically it's part of the inspect function, which again I'll show you in combat here before too long. But if the whole party, especially at the early levels, just fails that check, you usually are at the whim of, well, I guess we're just going to beat it to death and hope for the best, and that it doesn't have immunity to like death or whatever. So you just go over there and you just bludgeon the fucker to death, or you stab it, set it on fire, do what you typically do. Usually it works. Now, the reason this is important for you is because you can activate this. So again, if you fail the check, which is just an automatic roll, so if you just fail the check and the whole team does, and you just have no idea what the fuck it is, you can use your lore keeper ability to walk over, touch him on the fucking shoulder and say, what do I know about you, motherfucker? Boop. So you literally get some kind of, not precognition, what's that, I think it's called psychometry. Sorry, I'm deviating. Psychic ability to like literally, understand shit by touching it. That's, I think, psychometry. So you literally walk over, touch it, and you're like, oh, I know that you don't like fire, or you're immune to electric, or shit like that. So again, you get a feel for, oh, don't use this. Time to switch off from lightning bolt to fireball. You get the idea. So this is useful, not amazing, but it is useful, and I can see it being fun. The reason you want it, let's go to what happens at level 10 now. At level 10 on up, we get the other two blessings, the upgraded versions of them. You still have the originals, by the way. For the knowledge one, we get what's called monster lore. Notice that as a swift action, again, remember, and this one here, by the way, was a touch attack, which means it really is your action. You literally are walking over and going, whoop, touching the little fucker on the shoulder. So again, it is using your standard action. But monster lore, you can activate this as a swift action. So I would walk over, touch him on the shoulder, and then if I still have my swift action, because I've never used one this round, I'd activate this immediately, and here's why. You can, as a swift action, gain a +2 insight bonus to your attacks, your saves, and your armor class against the creature that was previously successfully inspected by you or your allies. More on that in a second. This effect lasts for 1 fucking minute, so again, a solid +2 to all kinds of shit. Having said that, I said we'll come back to this part here where it says you or your allies. Remember, successfully inspected by you implies that you're using Lore Keeper. Doesn't have to be. Remember, if you walk into an area, everyone on your party says, what the fuck is that? Oh, I remember that. I heard stories from my grandmama told me about the zombies that eat your flesh and blah, etc., so forth. And they're immune to this, but they hate fire. That's an inspection. That's exactly what that is. So if you know anything about them at all, that means that this should work on that fucker, like, automatically. There's no reason in the world that once you unlock this at level 10, that every time you see a bad guy, you don't, I'm assuming you have access to your swift action, maybe you need it for something else, but if you don't, you should be activating that at the start of every fight. Going, oh, big bad boss, I know a little bit about him, swift action, monster lore, bonus to my save, bonus to my armor, bonus to my swing. Done. For a fucking minute. And it's, not free, you get like 16 uses a day or some shit, best case scenario. So again, something you'd want, is my point. Then, the other one at 10 is your strength of will. Notice this one. It's going to sound lame, but read the whole paragraph. So I'm going to read it for you. It's 10th level as a swift action. Awesome. You can ignore the movement penalties caused by wearing medium or heavy armor. We wear robes. Keep reading. This effect lasts for 1 minute, so 1 minute you have that lame-ass buff. But you also have this next part. During this time, for 1 minute, you can add your strength modifier on saving throws against effects that would cause you to become entangled, staggered, or paralyzed. And you may say, well, isn't that just what the other one did? Again, we talked about breaking out with your strength checks for 1 round. Well, A, it's 1 minute, not 1 round now, but B, paralysis has nothing usually to do with using your strength to break out of it. It's a will effect. Your mind is locked up. You are a whole person, for example. You are paralyzed. So, this is a big fucking boost. And notice how it's your strength modifier, the whole goddamn thing. So we're getting a solid +13, goddammit, to your avoiding being staggered, entangled, and paralyzed for the save up front. So, like, you walk into a web spell, it is not a strength check. It's a strength check to break out of it after you've been entangled. If you're trying to avoid being entangled altogether, here you go, baby. Now, it's not the same as freedom of movement. Let's be real clear on this. This is subpar compared to, say, being immune to these effects just straight out of the gate. But I'll happily take a minute-long buff that gives me all this cool shit for a strength-based build. So again, strength of will, pretty fucking solid. So I thought that was a solid choice for your characters. Just wanted to explain why we went with the 2 blessings at once. And again, there's a lot of no wrong answers here. I mean, that, like I said, rune blessing is pretty fucking badass. Let's give you another, for example. I have a laundry list of ones that you could have picked that I consider quote-unquote good blessings. In reverse order, because I went from the bottom of the list up, the ones that I thought that were interesting were weather, water, trickery, strength, which we have, rune, which we could get, luck, liberation, knowledge, which I have an asterisk, that's the one we actually picked here, the other one that we picked here, healing, glory, death, which I also have an asterisk next to it, because again, it's pretty badass, darkness, Artifice, Travel, which has another asterisk next to it, so again, it's also badass. Protection and Earth. That's not all of them, but that's a laundry list of them. Chances are your deity has one of those on that list. You should probably look into one of those. I'm not saying you have to pick them, but they're definitely good choices for a variety of different reasons. So again, your deity dictates which you have choices of. You have the final say in the matter. And definitely pick two that you think are worthwhile. And again, know that they upgrade at level 1 and level 10, I believe, for all of them, which is pretty badass. Again, notice something else. You cannot be a monk at all. No monk splashes for this build. You are considered your own type of monk. And as such, it will specifically check this category. So you will have a box, you'll be like, oh, what's this? And you click it, it says, verify no monk levels. Yeah, no monk levels, so it'll allow you to progress as a Sacred Fist. And you cannot pick monk at that point forward. That's fine, because again, you kind of are your own monk. Notice, we get this thing called Fervor. This is going to be extremely useful. This is particularly interesting to me, because one of the things that you can do with Fervor is going to be a swift action. You can buff yourself with a spell that literally has a standard 1-round action. Like, you get jumped in the forest. Oh, I don't have Shield of Faith up. Whoop! I can activate it as an instant move. Just pretty badass. Now again, it's only 1 per round that you get to do this. But again, really, really nice. You get multiple uses of this in a day. The other uses for Fervor is if you are a healing type, you can instantly heal yourself, you know, as a swift action, and it gets better over time. Or you could single target heal an ally, for instance, or damage the undead, I believe, is another viable option. This is pretty badass, but it's only 1 target. So again, this is before you get your channel energy anyway, which is the AoE versions of all this shit. If you use the evil version, where you basically inflict damage instead of healing damage, then you have the exact opposite. What do I mean by opposite? Instead of healing yourself instantaneously, you damage yourself instantaneously. Why the fuck would you want to do that? Well, you wouldn't. But if you're undead, that damaging is the same as saying channeling negative energy, which heals undead. So that would be your way of healing yourself if you were evil or an undead type character. So pretty interesting. And again, the same principle there. You could single target damage a target or your allies. Obviously, you would want to damage them. Unless they're undead, you could heal them that way. The same general principle here, though. So there's a lot of fun to be had, though, with Fervor. Okay, and hopefully I don't mispronounce that and call Favor, because Divine Favor is a spell. Fervor, which is a specific effect here, is completely different. Notice again, channel energy will be like the upgraded version of that later. But notice at level 2, and this is really going to be fun for you, Flurry of Blows is something that you unlock at level 2. Most monks get this at level 1, so again, I'm assuming that you have some, I don't know, clerical war priest training that prevents you from Flurry of Blows at level 1. But by the end of the tutorial, you're damn near level 2 anyway, at least certainly by the time you get to Oleg's, you will be very quickly. So again, you have 2 attacks like very goddamn fast. And this does work for not only your fists, so we're real clear on this, it also works on monk weapons. So even though you're not a monk, remember that is important, you are not a monk. But you can use monk weapons, and those monk weapons will be flurryable. Those monk weapons, for those of you that don't know, is your fists, which we just mentioned, but also quarterstaffs, which we mentioned earlier was being pretty badass, kamas, sais, and chakus, and I think that's it. That's a decent list. We have a couple bludgeoning, we have slashing, we have piercing, hell, we got 3 bludgeoning, no less. So again, you got a lot of choices, is my point. And again, Flurry of Blows works on all of them. Notice that our Flurry of Blows gets better at 15th level. We get an additional attack. So not only do we get 1 bump attack, we get finally 2 by level 15 on up. Which is why we're seeing that we get 5 attacks. If I cast haste on myself or give myself a speed weapon, I can get up to 6 attacks. If I grab the best Sai in the game, which is a viable option, it's called Greater Speed is the buff on it. It's called Steel Wind. That little fucking bastard Sai allows you to get a speed bonus and another speed bonus on top of it. This is the only weapon in the game that does that. So instead of an extra attack from it being a speed weapon, it's a greater speed weapon, which means you get 2 more attacks. So instead of getting it cap out at 6, we get cap out at 7 fucking attacks. And we can actually get it to 8 if I cast like Transformation on myself, which you can't do, but there's gear that can do that for you, or a scroll, for example. And I can get you all the way up to 8 attacks with 1 hand. But it would be with the Sai. So you'd be stabby, 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 like 8 fucking times in a combat round. Now, sadly, it's Sai damage, so it's not this 2d10 beautiful damage here. You're going to do like 1d4 of lame sauce bullshit damage. But you still get your power attack and strength bonus and everything besides. So you're still crushing it as far as that part's concerned. And fuck it, an extra attack, baby. Just saying, that's some fun that you could have there. The other reason I bring this up, though, is Flurry of Blows is not just interesting for the extra attack, definitely of interest. Notice something else. There is a feat that we didn't pick it on her, but we picked it on this character. And I'll actually switch over to her right now and show it to you. It is called Crusaders Flurry, in this case, Dagger. If you unlock it, let's show you how you unlock it. Crusaders Flurry requires that you have a weapon focus in the deity's favored weapon. Now, we have weapon focus in unarmed strikes because I picked it. And our deity's favorite weapon is unarmed strike. So this doesn't do us any good, though, is the point. You have to have deity's favorite weapon, whatever it is, has to be a melee weapon. In this case, her favorite deity was Pharasma, and her favorite weapon is Dagger. So that's why she picked Dagger. Once you unlock channel energy of any kind or something similar, which we get at, like, I think level 4 as a Sacred Fist, we can, and once you have Flurry of Blows, which again we get at level 2, you can use your deity's favorite weapon as if it were a monk weapon. That means your Flurry of Blows works on it. So now think about what I just said. She's using a dagger, and she's getting 5 attacks right now. 6 if she has a speed effect, a dagger or a haste spell cast on her, which she can totally do. That's 6 attacks with that fucking dagger. 4 of which are at the full bab that she has. That's a lot of freaking stabby. And that's not even 2-weapon wielding. We're talking just one-handed. Stab. Now, okay, maybe that doesn't sound too impressive, but remember, 2 things. One, the weapon damage is lame compared to other war priests, so that's what really kind of sucks, in my opinion. But the other is, if your weapon, the weapon of choice that we're talking about from your deity that you have weapon focus in this case, dagger, could be longsword. The deities have a laundry list of weapons that they can choose from. If you get weapon focus in that, and you find a really good one in the game that like has an effect per strike. For instance, there's weapons out there that like on every hit it has a chance to daze or dazzle or steal some health or something besides damaging. I mean, like literally like a -2 to their strength every time you stab them. For instance, let's just say, okay, wouldn't you want to have that hit multiple goddamn times in a combat round? I know I would. So those can be really interesting, and it's just putting that out there. I'm not doing it for this build, but I did it for hers just to show you that is a possibility, and it is pretty damn cool. This is, again, a new feat, hence the color-coded system. That Crusaders Flurry is pretty fucking neat. So I thought that might be of interest to you guys, and I thought I'd mention that. Again, another reason to pay attention to your deity and their favorite weapon. Okay, so that's of interest. We're not doing it for her. The reason you would probably do this one, and just be real clear on this, this would, well, it lends itself to the Sacred Fist because, again, we get Flurry of Blows. Remember, you could have gone Cleric or any kind of other War Priest and gone like a 1-level Monk Dip to get that Flurry of Blows. You wouldn't get, 2 attacks. You'd get only 1. But so fucking what? It would be Flurry of Blows. And then you could unlock Crusaders Flurry for some motherfucker that's like a level 19 Cleric and a level 1 Monk Dip. You could have unlocked Crusaders Flurry at some point in there and had some serious fun. With your scythes, with your daggers, with your long swords, rapiers, scimitars, whatever deity favorite weapon that you picked, which is pretty freaking cool. And I just thought that would be worth mentioning. And remember, if you play just a War Priest, generic War Priest, you don't get Flurry of Blows. However, if you did a War Priest, 19 levels, much like a Cleric, and did a 1-level Monk Dip, you would unlock Flurry of Blows. So again, those War Priests get, just like we're seeing here with our unarmed strikes, getting better damage. Look at level 20 as the cap, but level 16 and 19, which would be where you would be if you did a 1-level Monk Dip, you'd still be doing solid damage here, better than the typical weapon. So again, for her, if she went War Priest, generic, not a Sacred Fist, 19 levels, her dagger would be doing 2d8 of damage by level 19. Level 20, again, you'd pick it up early, but you get 1 level Monk Dip in there to get Flurry of Blows. She'd be able to do 4 attacks, not 5, and it'd still be that 2d8 of damage by the end of the build. It's pretty fucking sexy. I just wanted to point that out to you. Now back to our build. What are we doing with her? So again, part of being a Sacred Fist is we'll get these free feats here, and here. Now these 3 of them are what's called style feats. Free style feats. So again, that's Dragon Style, Crane Style, Jabbing Style, Pummeling Style, and Lenormand Style, which is complete and utter shit. Don't bother. The first 4 that I mentioned, though, I had a previous video on. Feel free to watch that. That's the most recent video before this one. But this is why I picked Dragon Style. Watch that video and it'll explain why. You can get them here, and here for free. So we didn't pick them up here. We could have, We could have 2 styles. Hell, you can get fucking 3 or 4 styles with the amount of feats that you have. You could fucking switch. But remember, once you pick a style, it's a toggle. You activate it, and then the other ones would shut off. So you can't do crane style and dragon style at the same time, for instance. You literally get to be like, I'm defensive guy or I'm damaging guy. That's kind of your shtick. So you could easily swap this build out for grabbing 2 different styles. One down here and one up here, for example. I just decided to go with all in on one. In this case, it's Dragon Style, Dragon Ferocity, and Dragon Roar. Having said that, you'll see this one over here is another free feat. It is more inclusive. You can grab some style feats in here, not a lot, but some. But you can also grab a combat feat. In this case, we grab Channel Smite, as you can see. But again, it's more inclusive, very similar to what a fighter could pick up, because it's a combat feat. It's not a catch-all feat, but combat feats are a lot of different feats. So again, this is kind of another freebie. Feel free to grab something here. We grabbed Weapon Focus Unarmed Strike at level 3. At level 5, you see we picked up Dazzling Display. We needed a weapon focus in something to get that. We're always going to use our fisties, so here you go. At level 6, we pick our free style feat, in this case Dragon Style. So our physical punch, the very first punch in a combat round. Remember, we're already Flurry of Blowing by this time, so we're already getting 2 attacks. But the first one is going to get 50% more strength damage. So instead of 13, it would be half stronger than that. So it would be, in this case, 6.5, rounded down to 6. The first punch would get 19 damage instead of 13 damage. That's not bad. And again, it's going to get better from there. But that's free now at level 6, and that's always there. And remember, this is your first strike, not your first hit. So if you punch and you whiff and then punch, the second hit is not your first strike. It's the second swing. It's the first swing that we're talking about. The reason that this is also important is if I charge across the room and punch you in the snoot, that's your first strike and your only strike. So if you hit, which of course is the goal, then you are getting this bonus so long as this toggle is running. Then at level 7, we picked Intimidating Prowess. Now notice that's kind of weird. You'd be like, why not get Shattered Defenses, which we did get. And we can shift stuff around, but we cannot shift this one around. Shattered Defenses require you have a BAB of 6 or higher. BAB of 6 does not show up at level 7. It shows up at level 8 for us. Remember, it's 0, plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, plus 3 again, plus 4, plus 5, plus 6, plus 6 again. So again, we're still at 6. Shattered Defenses is now available. And we did eventually decide we wanted Cornigan Smash. I'd probably swap these 2 in place. So do Cornigan Smash first, then Shattered Defenses, then Intimidating Prowess. Nothing wrong with that. Notice here we have Dragon Ferocity. Now this is the interesting one. This is the one that allows us to now on that first punch, first swing, say it that way, in a combat round, instead of getting 50% more damage, we're getting 100% more damage. So 13 and 13, now we're getting 26 on that first fucking punch in the face. And that's not counting our power attack or any other buffs that we have. So you'll see our first punch is really going to crush, which is fucking awesome. Then, this is where it gets really cool. Every subsequent attack after that in the same combat round gets the 50% increase. So just like we saw a moment ago, we're getting 13 and 6 for the first punch. Now it's 13 and 13. Every punch thereafter is 13 and 6, 13 and 6, 13 and 6. And again, the more we buff this strength, the more that number on the other side is going to buff up as well, which is fucking money. Notice this other part here. When you score a critical hit or a successful Stunning Fist, remember we have Stunning Fist, attempt against an opponent while using this style, that opponent is also shaken for a number of rounds equal to 1d4 plus your strength bonus, which is pretty fucking high. Having said that, this is the reason we probably don't need Cornigan Smash, because I could set up the fight by either Dazzling Display, where you at, right here, just pumping my fist in the air and going, yeah, fear me, and they'll fucking be scared, or I could literally just use the Stunning Fist ability, which was this guy right here, pop him in the snoot. And literally, you still get to attack with it, which is fucking nice. Because I thought this was literally a, I'm stunning you and I'm not doing any damage. Turns out that's a mistake. You actually get to fully attack. It's like a toggle that you activate, or like a clickable, where you start off the fight and boom. The downside is we're only getting like 6 uses of this in a fucking day, which is lame sauce. But whatever. I'm happy to use it, is my point. And again, it really fucks over the bad guys because they really are stunned, and it really does make it really easy. But now, like I said, we have this ability that allows us to like shaken them at the same goddamn time. That's pretty interesting because again, that feeds our Shattered Defenses. Remember, if they're shaken anyway, doesn't matter if it's because of us, because of a spell, because of a teammate, whatever. They're shaken, frightened, or panicked. They're now flat-footed to our punchies, which makes it super easy to fucking hit them. And again, we're gonna hit them a lot, which is part of the goal. So that's pretty cool. Notice here we have another feat, this new feat called Hurtful. This one's kind of another one that you don't have to pick this one. I just put it in here to show you could be some fun. Notice that if we ever intimidate them, shaking them in a combat round, in that round, be real clear on this, as a swift action, if we're within melee striking distance of the motherfucker, we can use a swift action and punch him in the snoot. Pow. Now, if we miss, the shaking condition goes away. Because we're like, haha, you're an idiot, and they're not scared of you no more. That's kind of what this means. But this is an extra punch. And again, I thought that could be interesting, and especially when you do corn against smash, we punchy, we're intimidating as we beat the fuck out of the guy. If that works like it should, then we should be able to follow up with Hurtful. Again, you have to activate it as a swift action. You will pop him in the face. If you do that, that's basically like saying an extra attack, goddammit. So, fuck yeah. So that's why I brought that in there. And it is not glitchy, it's hard to manage. You're like, give you for instance. I run into an area, I dazzling display. I scare the fuck out of everybody, but they're not within melee range. I don't get to hurt them using Hurtful. But on the next round, they're still scared. And you're like, well, hurt them now. It doesn't work that way because you didn't scare them in the same round. That's the key here. So when you're like, this doesn't work, this is garbage, it does work. You're doing it wrong. You literally have to scare them, so you do your dazzling display when they're in your grill. Within melee range, you can do dazzling display and punch them once. All in the same round. Since we have corn against smash, you don't have to do dazzling display though. You can just punchy, right? But again, dazzling display scares AoE style, whereas corn against smash is just the dude you punched in the face. So, again, I like this one. I like dazzling display. We wanted both anyway, let's be honest here. And Dreadful Carnage was also on the table. We didn't even pick that. That's the one where if you kill them, you AoE scare everybody. So again, some serious fun to be had here. And I just wanted to point that out. So this is not necessary for this build, but it is fun to play with. Notice here at 15 we got improved blind fight. And again, probably with swapping some stuff out like this one, for example, or corn against smash, which isn't probably necessary. I could slide that up sooner. And I'll also mention some honorable mentions that didn't even make the cut. Notice at 15, not only did we get improved blind fight, we also got that combat feat. So in this case, we picked Channel Smite. This one's actually pretty interesting because we channel positive energy. We can damage undead using our, what's it called? Our channel energy. Instead of being AoE, we channel it through our fist, and we literally will do that damage to whatever undead we're punching in the face at that particular time. If we channel negative energy, be real clear on this, if we're channeling negative energy, we can do that same amount of damage, but only to, not undead, to living targets. Which again, it could be pretty fun. It would be just like a mean thing to fucking smack him in the face with, is the point. And Channel Smite unlocks a lot of other feats, which we didn't take, but again, there's some other fun that could have been had here. By picking it down here, it's kind of wasteful, but again, we could have picked, I think, Blind Fight, Improved Blind Fight, and all this other shit fits down in this combat style category, or combat feat category as well. So again, this wasn't the only place to take it. We could have swapped it up earlier and grabbed like Hurtful down here, for example. I think would have still worked. But again, on you. Notice we picked up, of course, Greater Blind Fight, and again, that literally allows me to take that a 50% miss chance, drop it down to a 20. So again, when I show you spells use and stuff, you'll see the 20 and 50 for the bad guy swinging at me, and I'll be swinging at them at no penalty or a 20% penalty, and it's because of this and the other two feats besides. Notice at level 18 we picked up our final Dragon Roar. This one's kind of a, you don't need it, but I like it, and there's a couple good reasons for this. One, it'll take this fucking kick-ass damage here and do it an AoE cone of damage. It's not a huge cone, but you're the center of attention, probably. So they're going to be up and in your face anyway, so you get 2 or more guys this way. Pretty easy. Notice a couple things. One, this is not a spell, so therefore there is no saving throw to avoid damage. They're going to take the fucking damage. This is kind of nice. And it's physical damage, so it's not even like, oh, I'm resistant to fire or acid, fuck you. Nope, this is bludgeoning, motherfucker. Boom, I'm channeling my fists in a roar into your face, which is pretty badass. But then the fact that we get more damage because of all our cool shit means we get even more damage for that scream, which is fucking cool. But creature caught in the cone on unarmed strike and become take your unarmed strike damage and become shaken for 1 to 4 rounds. Again, another fun feature. Again, setting up shattered defenses. We make them soft to our attacks because they're scared of us, which is pretty fucking nice. Notice, again, successful will save, DC was 10 plus half your character level plus your wisdom modifier. So it's going to be 10, and 10 is 20 plus 8. So 28 is the DC check on that. That's not amazing, but it's still pretty fucking solid. And that just prevents them from being shaken. It has nothing to do with the damage. They're still taking that damage, which is another reason I don't kind of like that one. 19, hammer the gap. There's really honestly nothing that I really cared about at this point, but I figured what the hell. We're going to seamlessly punch the shit out of stuff. Why not get extra damage? The way this works is for in one combat round, for every subsequent attack that hits, you're doing another point of damage. So if you punch them once, it's normal damage. You punch them once and then punch them a second time, that second attack gets normal damage plus 1. You punch them a third time in a row, and that one gets plus 2 because it adds the number of subsequent attacks, or previous attacks, excuse me, that hit. So again, that's why the first attack, there wasn't a previous attack. The first attack gets no bonus to the damage, but the second attack does, the third does, the fourth and fifth do. So again, if we have just this attack chain right now, and let's say all 5 hit, normal damage, plus 1 damage, plus 2 damage, plus 3 damage, and plus 4 to the damage. Hell, if I had a haste spell on me or a speed weapon, I can get a 6th one here, which would be a plus 5 damage. And again, if you add all that up, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, best case scenario, more or less. What would that be? 1, 2, and 3 is 6, and 4 is 10, and 5 is 15. So we're just adding 15 damage to your attack chain in that combat round. It's not per hit, it's just total. So 15 is lame, but I figured fuck it, 15 is still better than 0. Other stuff that was honorable mention that didn't make this list, again, like if you wanted to get rid of, Corny Smash, or if you didn't think Intimidating Prowess was that necessary, or maybe you didn't like Hurtful, or maybe you didn't think Greater Blind Fight was necessary, or this Channel Smite, which I would think is a mistake, but again, on you. Other stuff to point out was when you level up as a War Priest, in this particular case, a Sacred Fist, you get Blessed Fortitude and Miraculous Fortitude. What these two do is you get a successful Fortitude saving throw, you can avoid the effect. Very similar to how rogues do the same thing, but with reflex saves. You do it with Fortitude saves. Also, with the Miraculous Fortitude, if you make a save, and that save would like lessen the damage, if you made the save, you take, again, no damage. But now when you fail a Fortitude save, for that effect, that deals damage, you take only half of the amount of damage. So again, pretty fucking nice. Because of that, why I'm drawing your attention to this, because of that, one of the feats that didn't make the cut but should have is something called Great Fortitude. It's a +2 to your Fortitude saves. Why wouldn't you want that? I mean, your Fortitude saves are your bread and butter at that point, and it sounds pretty fucking badass. So I thought that's pretty cool. Other things to point out besides our aspect of war, which is fucking amazing. We'll talk about that at the end. Notice that our fist with our flurry of blows, not only that, but here's where you finally get your key pool. In level 7, remember I said you get an extra 1. How do I know that? Because we get 16, because here's why. You get a number of key points equal to half your Sacred Fist levels, so 10, plus your Wisdom modifier, 8, so 18, minus 3, so 15. But, and that's per day, but we have 16. The reason for it was because of that trait we talked about earlier. The reason this is important is as long as you have 1 point, you're allowed to do a key strike. What does a key strike mean? Well, these upgrades here will tell you what they're basically doing. For example, your fists are considered magic at level 7. So for purposes of overcoming damage reduction, you have magic fisties. At level 10, they're also considered cold iron and silver. So again, overcoming those types of damage reduction. Cold iron being extremely important in this game. Silver being important for like werewolves and were-rats and shit like that. Over here, we have lawful attacks with your fists. Again, overcoming the DR where they would have DR 10/lawful, for example. This would penetrate that. Then, of course, way the fucked out here, your fists are considered adamantine for purposes of overcoming damage reduction. Again, the classic example here is like if you had Stone Skin cast on a bad guy, it's DR 10/adamantine. So now your fists are adamantine, and now you're penetrating that DR 10 like it doesn't, not even there. It's like tissue paper, just fucking them up. It's just really, really nice. And again, to do that, you need at least 1 key point behind. Remember, there's other buffs that you get for key powers, though. We'll show you that here in a second. The reason that that's all important is because of this one here is even more important. Aspect of War. Once a day, you can do this thing as a swift action. You can activate this where you treat your level, which in this case is 20, as your base attack bonus, which means we would get another fucking attack. So again, you would get 6 instead of 5. 7 if you had a speed buff like haste, for example, on your character. So that's pretty badass. And all these numbers are going to go up 5 more points because our BAB is not a 15 anymore, it's a 20. So that's a lot more bang for your buck. Now this only lasts for a minute, and it's only once a day. However, not only do you get that, you also get DR 10/dash, which means Nothing penetrates it. That's not true, but in most cases you will absorb all physical damage, 10 points taken off of all physical damage from this point on for 1 minute. Keep going, and you can move at your full speed regardless of the armor you're wearing. This is again something that all war priests get. You don't wear armor, so that's not important to you. But keep reading. In addition, the blessings, that's these little fuckers down here. Blessings you call upon during that minute don't count against your daily use, and that's important because these burn up very quickly. Because you're like, I want to swing at plus 10. I want to definitely swing at plus 10. I definitely want to know what I'm fighting. I definitely want to have a bonus to my armor, plus my swing, plus my blah blah. And again, those burn through very quickly. So if you activate this, you get free use of those fuckers. Make full use of them is my advice to you. Last thing to talk about before we talk about gear is going to be spells. We talked about this in the previous video, but just as a quick reminder, ones that I like are the ones that you see listed here. I have armor buff, a buff to my swing as well as my team swing, a couple really good buffs to my swing and my damage. These are luck bonuses, so again our Fates favored trait kicks in here. A nice stunning barrier, which is garbage normally. The reason it is on the list now is because again we had that fervor ability. Remember I said that there's a ability to activate as a swift action a buff, a personal effect buff on yourself very quickly. This now suddenly makes this spell useful because again I'm like, oh shit, stunning barriers up. And again, why is that important? Because I can still get to attack, and if they attack me, now they discharge the spell and now they're stunned. Otherwise this would be a garbage spell. From here, notice though that we also get Obscuring Mist is on the list. Again, this is new spells, but this is the reason why Blind Fight at level 1 was so important. And I'll show you how to use that in combat. Level 2, you'll see that I have Aid, I have auto hit move like Bone Shaker, some nice delayed poison so I don't get poisoned. Bone Fist, this is an AoE buff for you and your team. +1 to your armor, +2 to your damage of your unnatural weapon attacks, which in our case includes our fists. So this will be +2 to our damage, basically. Not amazing, but hell, we'll fucking take it. And it lasts for a decent amount of time. Of course, we get the ability to bite targets too. This is also a natural attack, so it gets a buff because of that spell. But Savage Maw allows us to bite and gnaw on things as well, giving us another extra fucking attack. And if we so choose, we can end the spell. I wouldn't do so, but you can end the spell as a swift action and scream. And as such, you can intimidate everyone in a big circle. But this is the equivalent of Dazzling Display, which we have. So there's no real reason to end it. But I suppose if you didn't pick up Dazzling Display, this would still be useful. I wouldn't do that though. I'd still just go with the bite. And it'll last for a long period of time. Resist Energy, don't have to say anything about that. Burst of Radiance is a new spell. Again, Lesser Animate Dead, Desecrate, Consecrate, Path Clear, all solid choices. But Burst of Radiance is a nice fuck you AoE damage spell. I'll happily take it. Over here at level 3, Archon's Aura, you'll notice that we're going to get a lot of auras. So Archon's Aura is one of the two that I love the most. Archon's Aura is a solid fuck you to the bad guys, and you'll see that they're constantly making will saves to try to even hit you. If they fail their check, they're at a massive penalty until they hit you. If they whiff, it's super nice for you because again, the penalty to their attack rolls, penalty to their saves, and to their armor class for the duration of the spell. And it lasts a decent amount of time. This is a 1 minute per level spell. And again, since it's a personal effect spell, I think this is another one of those you can just like activate with fervor at a moment's notice. Say, oh shit, Archon's Aura. So that's kind of nice. Magical Vestment is important. It's not on the list here, but it is important. Same with Prayer. It's not on the list, but it is important. It's because Magical Investment doesn't do me any good once I get braces of armor class +5 or higher, which I have. Until that time, though, you would be using this. Prayer, same deal. I have a piece of gear that allows me to cast Prayer at will, so there's no need for me to slot this up. But until that time, this is a nice luck bonus to you and your teammates' attack rolls, your damage, weapon damage rolls, be real clear on this, saves, and skill checks. Which is fucking awesome. And it doesn't last long, but again, that's why I have the at-will cloak that allows me to just say, oh, I need a buff, whoop, and just activate it every like 9 rounds or something, because it only lasts for 9 rounds. So this is a solid buff. Notice, of course, we have protection from energy. Again, don't need to talk about that. Notice this greater stunning barrier makes the cut here. And again, compared to stunning barrier, this one's gold. Still one of those you'd want to instantly activate it, so fervor would be nice. So again, I think that works on this one too. It's only a +2 to your armor and saving throws, which is better than the +1 of stunning barrier, which is shit. And stunning barrier wears off the moment you get punched in the face, because that's what discharges the spell. In this case, this spell discharges only after it stuns or has a chance to stun a number of creatures equal to your caster level, which means caster level 20, if I activate this spell, it'll last for 20 rounds or until I get punched in the face 20 fucking times, because that'll be discharged every punch, every hit will be, you've been stunned, you've been stunned, or tried to anyway. And that's pretty fucking cool. This is one of those few abjuration spells where there's a saving throw for it. The saving throw prevents them from being stunned, obviously. Still pretty fucking cool. So I like this one more than the vanilla version one. Notice, of course, Deadly Juggernaut's on the list. This one's amazing. It's another luck bonus one, but it buffs a variety of things up to a maximum of a +5 to these things, and gives you damage reduction, and just a general decent long-lasting buff. This one's great. You definitely want this on yourself. And as great as this is, there is a better spell coming called Divine Power. It just doesn't last as long. This one can get you up to a +5 to all the things that you care about, your swing, your damage. But the other one can get you up to a +6 for your swing and your damage. And some temp HP and some other shit besides. But it only lasts for 1 round per level. That'll be at level 4, you'll see that. Notice that we got Channel Vigor, another amazing new spell. And Channel Vigor is one of those spells I said that, like, if you want to cast haste on yourself, this is the one that I'm thinking of. Channel Vigor, if you buff your limbs, it says you gain the benefits of a haste spell. Only you. Notice how it's a personal effect spell, so it only lasts on you, doesn't buff the team like haste would. But you want to be selfish, here's your way of being selfish, and it's one of those, again, that's a personal effect spell, and it's a level 3, which means Fervor could kick in here. We could activate that toggle, cast this spell, and poof, at the start of the fight, we have been hasted up. It's pretty fucking cool. There's other good stuff in here. I mean, Animate Dead is solid. You see that we picked it, but again, Sands of Time, Invisibility Purge, there's no real wrong answer here. There's a lot of good shit. 4, Death Ward is solid. Here, your Divine Power. We talked about that a moment ago, but this is just like a Deadly Juggernaut, another luck bonus. So again, Fate's Favor kicks in here and gives us another +1 to our attack and our damage. And it's a decent spell. And this one gives you another full attack. Now, this does not stack with haste. So the Channel Vigor we just talked about a moment ago will not buff you again. But between it or Divine Power, one of those spells should be on you if you're really in a pinch for a solid fight, because this will give you another bonus to your swing. This gives you temp HP, massive strength bonus as far as attack bonus, damage bonus, and strength checks and strength-based skill checks or athletics. Again, solid spell. You definitely want this on your character at least once or twice a day. Freedom of movement, long-lasting buff. I'm never paralyzed. I'm never impeded in any way. You can see the appeal here. Yes, we have strength of will as our blessing, which limits this to being less of a problem anyway. I would use those when, again, I would need them for another reason, or whenever I use freedom of movement and the spell wore off me, right? So it's still, you want this spell, that's my point. Notice we have Forceful Strike, one of your few force attacks in the game, in this type of character anyway. Solid damage, 10d4 damage, and it has a chance to knock the fucker back. Just super fun. Channel it through your melee weapon, or in our case, our unarmed strikes. Again, makes you feel like a Magus. Rigor Mortis is only on here because, again, an auto hit move, solid damage, massive penalty to their dexterity, just a general fuck you to the bad guy. And there's a lot of good stuff in here besides that. Shy away from your greater magic weapon, and your Crusader's Edge and stuff like that, because none of these seem to work on your fisties. So this is the one downside of this type of build. You would need greater magic fang to buff your fists, because it's considered a natural weapon, and we don't have that. So if someone else can cast it on you, hey, great. If not, it's fine. We got a necklace that'll make us awesome. Notice the other aura buff here, the Aura of Doom. This little fucker. Long-lasting buff, no less. And it's just you will scare people in the radius around you. Like, all enemies have to do within this area of effect, will have to do a will save to avoid not being shaken. So literally, it suppresses the effect if they make their check, so they can just stay there. If they leave the area and then come the fuck back in, they re-roll the check again. So you could have some fun, like if they rush up on you and say, I'm immune, I passed my check. You can run farther away and then make them come to you, which they will do, and then they'll recheck again and probably fail it. So that's nice. But this sets up another shaking condition. So again, no real need then for cornering and smash. Again, you're seeing the theme here. We have a variety of ways of scaring targets, is my point. Pretty cool. Level 5, Angelic Aspect is actually better than I thought it was. First, let me apologize for getting some stuff wrong in the past, in case I said it wrong, you guys. Oops. Wrong one. Angelic Aspect. I may have said in the past, and I don't think I did, but someone has corrected me, and I want to make sure we're clear on this. It says DR5/evil. I said that this protects you from physical attacks, but only against evil. That's not true. That means if it's an evil weapon, it penetrates the damage reduction. So I'll make sure we're clear on that. The evil part that I was thinking of was this here. The deflection bonus and the saving throw bonus only works against evil creatures. So this is protection from evil, that part, the deflection and the saving throw bonus. That's the equivalent of protection from evil. Notice that your weapons are considered good aligned. So again, for the same thing, so if you had a bad guy where he had DR5/good, your weapons are considered good. So pow, 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 you penetrate his damage reduction. Notice this part here, though. You also sprout white feathered wings, allowing you to fly. That actually is true. It used to be just a graphic, which means that your character, when you cast a spell on yourself, you see little angel wings on your character. And you're like, ah, it's pretty. They didn't do shit. They must have patched that in and fixed it or something, because it's actually giving me +3 dodge to my armor against melee attacks, which is what wings do. So fucking awesome. So that's kind of cool. A very good spell. You definitely want it. It lasts for a long time. Righteous Might is this one. This is one of your growth spells, one that make you bigger, do more damage with your fisties, and get better reach and blah blah blah. Plus bonus to your strength. And on this, I need to apologize for getting the other part wrong. I've been suggesting using a belt called Belt of Athak. The Belt of Athak gives you a +4 to strength, dex, and con. That's not the real selling point there. The belt itself has another ability built into it, a spell that you can cast once a day called Legendary Proportions. And that makes you really, really big. It's like a +6 to your strength, and it's a size bonus, and it gives you a bunch of other cool shit besides. But that belt is not available in this game unless you're using the DLC Varnhold's Lot, and that's where it's available. So that'd be a viable option if you're playing Varnhold's Lot, so know that it is in that one. If not, it's okay. I'm just give you the better belt. That's a +8 to strength, dex, and con, and then I just give you scrolls of legendary proportions, which again is fine. You can totally work around it. But the point's still the same. That was a mistake on my part. Righteous Might is the watered-down version of legendary proportions, in my opinion. It's only a +4 to strength and con, penalty to dex as well, which really sucks. But there's some other good shit in here as well. This is the better version, though, of Enlarged Person. And again, Enlarged Person and legendary proportions only work on living beings, people. We're talking human, elf, half-elf, orc, whatever. Righteous Might don't give no fucks. But the reason that's important is, again, if you try to make an undead character, Righteous Might would be the only buff that would work on the undead. You could not enlarge that person, because it's not a person, it's undead. You could not do legendary proportions on that undead either. So this would be your only scenario to make yourself bigger and stronger. A lot of good stuff besides this, though, in this list. Of course, spell resistance. Why not be resistant to spells coming your way? And it's 12 plus your caster level, which in our case, our caster level is going to cap out at 20. That's a 32 spell resistance. Genie kind of just threw this in there just to point out that there's other buffs available to you. And it's not that this is bad. This is actually pretty decent. This is a way for you to get some elemental damage to your fisties, whether it be electric, fire, cold, or acid. Just depends on what type of genie kind you pick. There's also some armor to be had here, but it's an enhancement bonus, which means you probably already have an enhancement +4 from something else or better. Same with your constitution bonus. You do move faster, or you're immune to difficult terrain or some shit like that, but also you're resistant to the element of interest, so electric, fire, cold, or acid. So something. It doesn't last long, though, so it's kind of meh. Level 6. This is the reason you need to be a good character. Is Eagle Soul, the spell that you have on tap, no less, and a sacred bonus to your strength, +4. The only sacred bonuses in the game for strength, no less. So pretty nice upgrade for you. So again, I can get your strength up another 8 points, 4 from this and 4 from Genie kind. I can get it up 10 more points if I do legendary proportions, 6 from it, 4 from this. That's another +10. So I can get you up to a solid 46 in this build. And while that doesn't sound as impressive as the 50s and the 60, I think I hit on my best case scenario with my Alchemist build. Remember, all these other spells like Divine Power, or the one way the hell back here, Divine Favor, those are solid bonuses that are not quote-unquote strength bonuses, but they're a bonus to your swing and a bonus to your damage, which is what basically strength bonuses were about. So again, I don't look at that and say, oh, this is a subpar build. No, it's not. She's fucking monster. She's going to destroy shit, and you'll see that here in a mo. There's other stuff to talk about in here that's of value, paralysis spells and shit like that. But and the other reason you want to know about this one is because of the no spell resistance part is fucking amazing. Cold Ice Strike we have on tap simply because sometimes you just need to do a swift action, fuck those bad guys in a big straight beam, and that's what it'll do. Blade Barrier is a solid choice. Notice I have both heal and harm, just to emphasize 2 points. One, a heal spell's amazing for healing you or damaging undead, depending on how you need it. But again, it cures you of a lot of afflictions and heals you up to 150 fucking points of health, which is fuck yes please. If you're an undead character, harm does the same general thing, where it heals you for up to 150. or it will damage the living, which again is why I still have it on a living character build, because I won't use it on myself, I'll use it on a bad guy. Don't use it on the undead though, you'll heal the undead. So again, I can damage undead, heal myself or a teammate. I can damage the living or heal undead if I had like an undead pet or myself, or Jathel, who's on the team. So again, solid stuff here. There's a lot of other good shit in here. Banishment, undeath to death, there's a plague storm, there's a hellfire ray, a lot of shit that's fucking awesome in this. So let's actually have some fun. Let's get our character over here. Notice that I've pre-buffed up, and I have blur on me, even though I don't have that as a spell. It's an effect that coming from a ring. I have shield of faith, bless, delay poison, bone fist, savage maw, resist fire, just because I wanted to pick something. Arcane's Aura's on, or Archon's Aura, excuse me. Deadly Juggernaut's on. Protection from acid, just because again I want to show you that you have those choice. Death ward, freedom of movement, aura of doom, angelic aspect, which is why you see the pretty wings, and spell resistance. So again, I gave all my long-term buffs more or less on my character. And there's still others that I can activate. Again, like Eagle Soul, Righteous Might, Divine Power, Divine Favor. Again, there's a laundry list of shit that I still have yet to click. Notice, with my Ring of Circumstances, what I have on, I've buffed up Armor, I've buffed up Con, I've buffed up Strength, and I've buffed up Wisdom. I figured I'd want the extra HP and Fortitude, the extra Strength, because Doi, Armor, again, Doi, Wisdom, you're a caster with Wisdom being important, so fuck it. I have always Dragon Style on. There's no reason to shut it off. There's no penalty for having it on, like Crane Style, for example. So you definitely want it on all the time once you have it. So Dragon Style and Dragon Ferocity is always being woven in here. Notice my Dragon Roar, I can use that up to 3 times a day. Notice, of course, I have Stunning Fist 6 times a day. And the fact that there's half the number lets you know that using this is going to take 2 of those. And that's still worth it. Because again, you're hitting multiple targets, presumably, and shaking targets as well. But remember, Stunning Fist with Dragon Ferocity, I can stun as well as intimidate a single target using nothing more than Dragon Ferocity and a Stunning Fist attack. So again, there's reasons to want to use these still. Notice that we have Dazzling Display. That's your typical, screaming into the clouds and yaw, poof, scare everybody. So that's still viable, and so is Hurtful, which is this guy right here. Okay, so I'm actually going to swap that down on there so I don't forget that I have it. Again, here's your Fervor for positive energy. This allows you to heal yourself as a swift action in combat more likely than not. Notice that it's using up many uses in a day, so you probably want to rest up to make sure that you're ready for a flight. Boop. So we're back up to 18. Notice that we have Strength of Will, Monster Lore, Lore Keeper, and Strength Surge all down here. Those are my 4 blessings. And again, you'll see that since it's the same number, that using one of these uses up all of them. So again, just to point out that that's going to be a constant thing. You don't want to burn through them if you don't have to. Other stuff, Power Attack's always on. Notice you guys get charged down here and coup de grace and fighting defensively, which you're probably not going to do on this build. If I were to change this build around, just to be clear, I'd try to find a way to fit in Crane Style, Crane Wing, and Crane Riposte, and dodge, obviously. And the reason for that is sometimes you just need armor. And sometimes you just need to go into a battle being the fucking tank that can just take a goddamn beating and they're not going to fucking hurt you. And when they do, it's going to be minimal amount of damage. So Crane Style, Crane Ring, Crane Riposte is solid for that. And fighting defensively, of course, too. Having said that, though, I'm all about doing damage. And I have more than enough buffs with what I have on my character anyway, and I'm not worried. Notice that we have Key Armor. Another armor buff. Key Power Extra Attack. This is another one that stacks with haste and or a speed weapon and your flurry of blows as well. So literally, I can get you even more fucking attacks. And your bite. So again, while I said I could get you up to, I think, 6 plus 7 plus 8 with the bite, I think I can get you up to 9 fucking attacks with this thing. And again, yeah, you burn through them very quickly because it takes a pool point to do it. But then it's only for that one round. But so fucking what? You just get another goddamn attack and it's at your full base attack bonus? Hell yeah. Just saying, she's going to be mean. And of course, we haven't even talked about some of the other stuff that we have, like, gear-wise. Let's actually show you that real quick before I forget. I have Brightest Darkness. It's not the best hat. Remember, the Wizard hat's the best one. That's the plus 8 to Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. This one's just a plus 6, and only to Wisdom and Charisma. But really, Wisdom and Charisma is all I really give a shit about. Charisma, because it has to do with your AoE heal, your channel positive energy, your channel negative energy effect. And also because of our intimidation, remember we're trying to scare things, but we have intimidating prowess, so we get to add our strength modifier to that lane +2. We get a +13 on top of that fucker. That's pretty nice. Point is though, this is decent, and it's also the one that you'd probably have given to Tristan anyway. And again, feel free to do so. You can always find something else that gives you a +6 to wisdom. But this one's a solid upgrade, and again, it allows you to do your better channeling, your cures or your damage deals. You know, if you're trying to damage undead, gets a nice buff. We have here the Cloak of the Chosen, so notice that we're immune to blind and dazzle. Fucking awesome. Bonus to our saves against will. That doesn't matter because while it's +3, chances are we're going to cast a spell or something on us that gives us to like a +5, or we could swap out for a better cloak, for example. But this one here is nice because this allows us to cast prayer spell at will. It means every round I can so choose to fucking say fuck it, prayer. Now that's not only a luck bonus to you and your team in a big fucking circle for like attack bonus, damage, melee damage, your saves and your skill checks, and it lasts for 9 rounds. It's also the same but an opposite effect for the bad guys, which means instead of a +1, it's a -1, and there's no save on that shit. So it's a nice way to say fuck you, I'm better than you are. Cloak of the Chosen. Ring of Circumstances, we just talked about that. Ring of Blur, this wasn't the only choice. There's a lot of other rings you could have grabbed. For example, Dragonfly Ring. I have Great Dreamer Smile, Ring of Greater Balance, Ring of Evasion, Ring of Law. The only reason why Ring of Evasion wasn't something that made the cut is because our reflexes are quite frankly shit. But this would be another way to protect yourself if you really had a high reflex save. Ring of Law, because we're a law-based character. Ring of Chaos is another option if you're a chaotic good character, for example. The Great Dreamer Smile is not bad, but we're getting money of those bonuses already. But I do like being immune to shit. Immunity to curses is kind of cool. The Greater Ring of Balance is only if you're true neutral, which again you wouldn't want to be on this build because again of that Eagle Soul spell. That's this guy here. Notice I gave myself a Scroll of Righteous Might, Legendary Proportions, and Eagle Soul, just to remind you those are your buff spells for extra strength. Again, Righteous Might is good, but Eagle Soul's or Legendary Proportions is better, and it does stack with Eagle Soul because it's a different type of bonus to strength. So again, pretty fucking solid. Before we fight anything, I forgot to tell you everything else in this. Sorry. Bracers of Arm class +8. Again, you get the best bracers you can get, and this is not the only bracers you could have got. For example, you could have picked up like the Forest Knights bracers, and again, another apology here. I've been suggesting things like the Charon's Touch and the bracers of deflection. I think one or both of those are also only available in the Varnhold slot DLC. It's kind of a bummer. The Amulet of Mighty Fist +5 is similar to the Amulet of Agile Fist +5. This is the best one, especially if you're a strength-based build. The other one's more pricey, and Agile Fist +5 is great if you had a dex-based build. This is the one you want for a strength-based build. It's a +5 to your swing and a +5 to your damage. It's already calculated in there, as you can see here, +5. And again, for the damage, you'll see that the 34 goes down to a 29 if I take that off. Robes, no wrong answer here. There's a lot of choices. I mean, if you want to have your spells be maximized, there's a good robe here. Robe of the True Master is a good one as well. So Leviathan's Gift, Robe of the True Master. In this case, I grabbed Censor's Robes for a couple of reasons. One, +2 to dodge. Some extra fucking armor. That fits in this category, but not flat-footed, obviously. And it allows us to cast a spell twice a day. Dispel Magic as a 5th level wizard, free of charge. I said, fuck it, I'll happily take that. The Belt of Physical Perfection +8. Again, that's the 8 to Strength, Dex, and Con. Fucking awesome. Notice I even have the Royal Glows of Valor. That's a +6 to Charisma. We don't need it because we have the Brightest Darkness. But again, that's not why I picked this. I picked this for the spell, Greater Heroism, 3 times a day. That's 11-minute buff for you or anyone else that you cast it on, for that matter. That's a +4 morale bonus to your swing, and so on and so forth. So again, getting your chances to hit high. This character will fucking land lots of attacks. Last one, of course, is our Manticore Skin Boots. Reason for this is not just the speed, it's really the +4 natural armor enhancement. Normally that comes from Barkskin Spell, which we don't have access to, or a necklace, which again we don't have access to because we're using this necklace instead. Because of that, I definitely want you to have the Manticore Skin Boots. And again, you can equip yourself weapons. As you can see, you have access to shit. Notice when I switch it, it's a penalty to my swing compared to my +5. But I can swing and I still hit hard, and again, I'm getting my flurry of attacks because it is a monk-based weapon, the Quarterstaff. So again, I could have done that. I could have done, trying to find a comma. And there's some good ones in the game. And again, I still get my flurry of blows on that shit. I could have switched to a Sai. And then Chaku. The bludgeony. That one looks pretty fucking badass. I like how it sparks. But again, the point is you could have done that. And the reason I have all these weapons here was, again, to reemphasize that point that if you had a deity, and you say that deity's like, oh, really good at, like their favorite weapon is the rapier. There's a lot of really good rapiers in the game. I wanted to see what all was available. So again, you could have done Crusaders Flurry, remember, get those attacks, but only for a weapon that normally is non-flurryable, if that's a word. And again, so there's some really good choices in there. That's why I have that there. Let's actually fuck some shit up, shall we? Let's do instant rest just in case I needed to, because I don't remember if I did or not. We need to spawn some units. How about we fuck up some trolls? That's always fun. Everyone likes fucking up trolls. CR 15. Oops. Search it. Alright, where are them trolls at? We do the veterans versus the berserkers just because the berserkers are immune to a lot of the shit that we don't want to have to deal with. So let's make a level 15 hostile troll. Okay. Alright, do another quick save just so we don't have to think. And you want to scroll that up because we're going to see a lot of cool shit here. So let's kick out a couple. Come and get it. Okay. Let's see who goes first. Come and get it, buddy. Notice how he has 2 saves right off the bat because of the aura that I have. Same with this fucker. And he succeeded. The other guy succeeded. So again, it's going to be a thing. But remember, we're going to, quite frankly, fuck these guys up. So now, let's just give you a, for instance, Dragon Roar. I could fucking scream at both these bastards. It'll take my entire turn. But remember what it does. It does, where's that? My physical damage, my punching damage once to both of these guys. Again, the more you hit, the better you are. So you can probably hit at least 3 dudes if you had it set up right, maybe even 4. But then again, also, there's a chance to shaken the target. So again, there's going to be another save associated with it. So let's find out. So, will saving throw succeeded. Intimidate check succeeded. So I did manage, and then the reason the intimidation check works is because we're doing probably power attack recording and smash is kicking in here. So that's nice that we actually have that. Then. So again, because they made their check, their will save, that's their check to see if they're scared from the dragon's roar. The damage, though, was still going to be the damage. And again, 2d10 plus 34 AoE style, that's some significant fucking damage. Physical, not resisted by magic because it's not a magical attack. Notice, I can, as a swift action, always look down here. As a swift action, I can key armor up. And should do so. Let him wail on me for a second, see how we do. Miss. 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 Suck, loser. How about you, buddy? Yeah, they all get miss, miss, and a miss. Now let's show you some things. So there's a couple things that stood out. One was the concealment. Remember, I have that ring of blur. It's not the best ring ever, but it's a constant blur effect. That's a 20% fuck you, you're going to miss me. 20% of the time, no matter how good of a swing you have. That's nice. So unless they have like something like blind fight that can counter this, there's always that 20% chance, which is pretty fucking sweet. Remember, this is not invisibility, so it has nothing to do with seeing invisible or true sight or anything like that. This should always be kicking in, which is really, really nice for us. So he missed because of that. Notice the other guy missed. Let's scroll back up here. He rolled a 49. I had a 58. This is my armor. Okay. So A, he's penalized for being shaken. B, he is getting flanking. You see that from his buddy. So again, the shaken kind of counters the flanking, so that's okay. But my key armor, that little button that I added here for 1 minute, I have +5 insight armor. Again, stacking with all that shit. And insight armor works for not only flat-footed, it works for your ray attacks, your touch attacks, and of course your regular armor, which is what you're seeing here. So again, that +5 carries for over all 3 categories, which is pretty fucking badass. Just like my deflection, my shield of faith spell. Bracers, armor, all kinds of other buffs that I got, dodge. I'm doing really well for armor. This is not the best armor you can get in this game. The 58 is a solid fucking armor class. I think we can all agree. Again, these guys are hitting like brick shit houses. But again, they missed me simply because I kicked down that little key armor. 58 versus what they needed. I saw him miss. He barely missed. Where is that fucking other hit? Percent miss chance. 20% miss chance. 49. No, that wasn't it. This guy needed a critical miss. 47. No. I thought one of them missed simply because of the key armor was activated. Sadly, no. It's okay. It's good enough. So now it's my turn. So let's give you a for instance. Let's do. Well, maybe I want to really make sure that I hit this motherfucker, right? So again, we have that swift action for the strength surge. Whoop. Kick his ass. Get it? Oh yeah. Ninja. Okay. So what did that do? Remember, what is this buff? This is 1 round. So this combat round, I'm getting that plus 10 to my swing, my strength-based skill checks, and so on and so forth. But for 1 round, I have a plus 10 to all my swings. So again, you see right here, enhancement plus 10. So it's stacking with all this other cool shit that we fucking got going for us. Again, really, really nice swing right now. Solid attack bonus of fucking 40. And he was flat-footed because he was shaken. And again, because I have shattered defenses, that's why he's flat-footed. So again, it's even easier to hit the motherfucker. So his dexterity modifier and his dodge is all straight up gone. So again, sets itself up for being a very solid attacking dude. And again, we haven't buffed with everything yet. Remember, I have spells like Divine Favor. That could be a +4 with my Fate's Favored trait. +4 to my swing, +4 to my damage. I could have done Divine Power, which could have been a +6 to my swing. Actually, +7. Thanks to Fate's Favored, because it's also a luck bonus. So +7 for my swing and a +7 to my damage. And again, putting up solid numbers already, I have a lot of spells is my point that can buff me even more. Look at that shit. Solid 41 goddamn damage on that first strike, and he critted no less. 2d10 plus 41. I'll take that shit. That's nice. And again, remember, we haven't buffed up with Righteous Might or Legendary Proportions or Eagle Soul. That's strength bonuses. Those strength bonuses get magnified for our fists with Dragon's Ferocity and Dragon's Style, remember? So again, that +13, I can get it up another 10 points over on here, which means another 5 here. So I can have this at an 18, best case scenario. And that 18 translates into 18 more damage on the first punch. So 18 and 18 on the first hit. And then on every hit after that, it's 18 and 9, 50% stronger. Remember, because of Dragon Ferocity? So that's a 27 for every subsequent hit. Boom, 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 boom. And then you throw in like Divine Power, where you get an extra attack and extra damage and luck bonuses, better swing, and that suddenly I'm just tearing through some shit. So this character is going to hit. It's going to hit hard. She's got plenty of buffs. She's got plenty of spells. She's got good damage. And again, just as a reminder for a number of spells, we got the buffs we got right now. We got 7, 7, 7, 7, 6 a day, and 6 a day. That's a lot of fucking spells. And a couple of the ones that you would want. I've already used my swift action, so I'm just going to end my turn. Pussy. You stink. Okay, this gives me a chance to show you my Fervor ability. Let's see if I can find it. Fervor, quick and personal spell. As a swift action, a War Priest can expend one use of this ability to cast any one single target War Priest spell he has prepared with a casting time of 1 round or shorter. When cast in this way, the spell can target only the War Priest. It means it can normally target other targets. So like, give me an idea of what I'm talking about. This would only be me. Shield of Faith. You can touch an ally with it, but you can also cast it on yourself. So I can activate Shield of Faith with this Fervor ability. So what you do is you click on the toggle, then you click on the spell that you want to buff on. Like say I didn't have my Savage Maw available and I want to get that extra bite in. Here you go. Click, and it would activate. I can do my Stunning Barrier. Boom. So as a swift action, nice little buff to me. And again, still allows me to do my attack. That's why you want that Fervor out there. Now notice, Fervor lowered my positive energy check here. 17, 17. It's the same number, so make sure to shut it off, otherwise you're wasting it when you're casting your spells. But again, that's what you would do that Fervor for. So again, either to heal yourself, heal an ally, damage the undead, or use it as that quicken effect for one of your buffs. One of the reasons I love the War Priest so much is that quicken ability. That's a very, very cool ability. And it's not tied to a spell level. I thought it was level 3 on down. I'm thinking of something else. That's pretty fucking awesome. Another example of stuff that you could have done Oh, let's do this. Okay, so you can see if I do the hurtful, see how is there X, and they're shaking. You're like, what the fuck? You've intimidated them. Not this round. So do your dazzling display. Now you've scared them this round. Now you should be able to whack this. You only got one punch. But again, early levels when you don't have like Cornigan Smash, or maybe you never grab Cornigan Smash, and you still want to set up that intimidation and you still want to punch them in the fucking snoot, that's your chance to use hurtful. And again, it's not the only way. If they got scared when they ran into combat with me because of my aura, remember I have that aura of doom, right? So they get scared. That's me intimidating the motherfuckers. If it's in that same round, I should be able to use hurtful. And again, it should give me my extra attacks. So let's actually finish these pricks off. It's like a big AoE fire boom. And then I want to do one other quick thing here to show you something else. Okay. You'll notice that I always put a spell like Flame Strike on. Shit like this. Piss off, lizard. Alright. Let's rest up so that we get my spell uses and shit back, because I don't want to have to show you something and not have the thing charged. So let's summon another couple of dudes. First, what was I going to do? Oh, I wanted to try the Cornigan Smash to see if I could set up Cornigan Smash and use Hurtful in the same combat round. So let's just send one guy. Okay, so he's not scared yet. We agree to that, right? So if I do Hurtful, see how there's an X, because I haven't intimidated him now. But because I have Cornigan Smash, every time I hit him with power attack on, there's an intimidation check. So let's actually see. We're not going to use a swift action because this is also a swift action. And that, if I use that, then I can't use this, I don't think, in the same combat round. So let's try to scare him. There we go. Definitely intimidated him, right? Now we're done. Hurtful. Yeah. So I actually got a 6th attack in there. That's fucking sick. So I just wanted to show you that that was a possibility. And again, there's fucking enough to take him out one combat round. And that my bite wasn't even working, so I must not have had activated my bite attack. That's that guy there. And again, there's other stuff that you can do to make this build your own. Feel free to swap stuff out, guys. The point's still the same. This is a solid attacker. They do solid numbers on the board. You know, definitely a hard-hitting character with some decent armor. And again, if you wanted to switch some of these feats out, again, I wasn't married to a lot of the stuff. I even pointed that out. Like the Greater Blind Fight isn't necessary. Hammer the Gap was definitely not necessary. Hurtful isn't amazing. Cornigan Smash wasn't necessary. Again, we have a variety of ways of scaring things. So there's a variety of ways to take some of these things away and still get yourself like your Crane Style, Crane Wing, Crane Riposte. Remember, you will need to get dodge in there somewhere. And again, you'll notice I don't have dodge. I also didn't get deflect arrows. And again, part of that was because my dex was only at 12. But if I ever gave myself some gear that gave me a dex of 14 or 16, suddenly those feats would have been available. And you could have picked those up, and quite frankly, you probably should have. For example, I probably would have gotten rid of Hammer the Gap and got dodge or deflect arrows. At the very least, deflect arrows. Why? Because the ability to just straight up say, fuck you, oh, that arrow didn't hit me. Like once a round. As long as I see it coming, arrow knocked out of the air. Fucking done. Doesn't matter if it's like a magic arrow or not. Just boop, nope, didn't hit. You didn't see it. Deflect arrow. And that's kind of nice. I want to show you something else. So it's actually another doofus. Come and get it, buddy. I wanted to show you that aspect thing. I also wanted to do the inspect as well. Pass. Pass. So this is the inspect feature that I'm talking about. So there's the big eye. If you hover over a character, you'll see that you've inspected him. Okay, you know enough about them to know the effects and conditions that he's shaken, he's flat-footed, bears endurance is on him, and he has regeneration unless it's acid and fire. So again, we have inspected him successfully at some point. It didn't give us everything. See how we don't know his defense, we don't know his offense, we don't know his abilities. So that's what this lore ability, the lore keeper, is about. Whoop. Now look at this. We attacked him, we used the ability critical hit, no less. Forced DC 28 monster lore check, we hit a fucking 43, and that's going to be always 43 for us at this build at this time, because it's based on your wisdom modifier, your character level, which is our war priest level in our case is 20, and like a 15 besides. So 15 and 20 is 35. 8 more came from our wisdom modifier. So as long as that's always the same, you'll always expect to see that 43. So that was a solid fucking check. So what did we learn about the fucker is my point. We learned a shit ton of stuff. Look at all that shit. You know, all these things, all the feats he has access to, all the skills he has access to, all the fucking shit we need to know about this bastard. And could we have failed that check? Because there's probably DC monsters that are way higher than 43. So we won't know everything, but it was enough for us to get everything we needed to know about this particular prick. Right? Now, why is that important? Well, you see this ability here, Monster Lore. You don't activate it on yourself. You activate it on the bad guy, I think. Let's try it. Yeah. So we got Monster Lore activated on ourselves. So that's a +2. It's not going to show up in here at all, but it will be a +2 for protection from these types of bad guys. I'll show that to you in just a second. I can show it to you in the combat log because, again, he was attacking us. And remember, we just got a +2. Oh, I think I clicked the wrong guy. Alright, let me do it on the next one. Yeah, I thought I saw a twinkle on the guy that's on the ground, and I wanted to actually do it on this guy. So I think you actually have to do Monster Lore and click the actual bad guy. There we go. Now remember what that gives us, though. +2 to our attacks, our saves, and our armor class against that creature. So, punchy, 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 another punchy. And remember, that should be a +2 to our swing against him. So again, you should see it in here. Monsters Lore +2. See that? Same with our saves, same with our armor class. So if we let him try to attack us, we'll have +2 better armor, which is what I wanted to show you. Here we go. You stink on ice. No, not that one. This one. Where's my armor +2? Oh, it's not giving it to me. You prick. Should have been. Oh, maybe it only lasts for like 1 round. That doesn't make any sense, though. Huh. I feel like I'm missing something here. Hold on, guys. Is it a penalty, maybe, to his swing? That's not shaken. Maybe it has to literally be the same round that you activate that. Oh, that sucks. Well, I got my... No, because I got my +2 bonus to swing, so why the hell am I not getting my thing? Let's get back to my character. Hold on a second. What is that? Lasts for 1 minute. Yeah, what the fuck? Give me my goddamn +2 armor, you son of a bitch. That's not going to help us here. Swing. Oh, I do want to show you, though, the other one, the war aspect. Where the fuck are you at, you little son of a bee? Right here. Aspect of war. Boom. Now, notice, I'm still lore keeper, these guys. Notice how the number went away is my point. So for that minute, literally, these are going to be free. That's what I wanted to show you there. I think that's all I really had for you guys. This video has definitely been long enough anyway, and I apologize for not getting you a video sooner, guys. Thank you, by the way, for all the people that have not only subscribed in the past, but are currently subscribing. I appreciate that. We're getting a lot more people. I'm assuming it's because of Wrath of the Righteous is coming out. On that, if anyone wants me to buy the beta, I have money now, thanks to my stimulus check. If you guys want me to buy the beta version of Wrath of the Righteous, I'm going to buy the game when it comes out anyway. So getting the beta is not that big of a deal. It's just a little bit more. And I'm happy to support them because this is such an awesome game. I'm assuming that Wrath of the Righteous is going to be better. If you want me to do some ideas for builds by going to the newer game, feel free to post down below and tell me as such. And I will look into that and decide whether I want to do that. We've still got plenty that we can do about Pathfinder Kingmaker, though, so I'm not trying to steer away from this stuff. This stuff is already pretty freaking awesome. But I do, like I said, I do love the ability to buff this character with a variety of things. She's very strong, very tough, hits hard. And again, I've yet to even show you the full potential when I do stuff like Righteous Might or Legendary Proportions or stuff that I can cast from scrolls. Eagle Souls and so forth. And again, this character will hit hard, has a lot of ways of doing it. With that though, my name is Brother Meat. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me what you guys think about this particular build. And I'll probably do at least one more War Priest build before we deviate and go to something else. The reason for that, for the Strongest There Is series, is because there's a really interesting one. I want to say it's an Occult Leader is the name of the subclass of War Priest. And they get Sneak Attack, which sounds pretty fucking sexy for something that can also be like a cleric and a fighter all at the same time. So that would be probably the next War Priest build, unless someone has a suggestion. With that though, my name is Brother Meat. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I'll see you guys soon. Bye now.